Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to Mornings with Michael. Not always in the morning. We're after the close. Happy Friday to everybody. Hope you had an outstanding week. All of your goals you continue to work on and your dreams are coming true. So, without further ado, let's see where the S&P 500 heat map is looking. So let me share the screen. I went to the wrong screen to share. So here we go. Share the screen. Microsoft is down big time. Apple is treading water, just like Nvidia. Google is down. Meta is slightly up. Amazon is up. Tesla is barely up. Energy is up today. It's bouncing from its drag from it's looking at the economy, thinking it'll be down in the coming months. Some financials are up. So it almost looks like what was down yesterday is up today. So let's look at that. Share my screen again. Here's if you don't want to have to worry, annuity is a great place your money. They're giving a 40 to 45% bonus right now. This is how annuities beat index investing by about 5% per year. Once your money goes up, you don't have to worry about losing money because they guarantee that you won't. Once it goes up the step, it will not come back down, but index investing bobs and weaves with the stock market. So there we have that. And let's see. Share our screen here. This is one we looked at yesterday, Denison Mines. Popped up 7 cents today. I think I bought about 5,000 shares this morning. May a 10% position I'm thinking about going into. I'm just kind of waiting in, kind of watching where it goes. Going to take in the education area, we're going to take a look at some of the software stocks, as that seems to be the biggest ETF sector right now. But before we do anything further, let's look at our indexes. First, the dollar index. Dollar initially sold off and then popped up, just left off pretty close to where it was yesterday. Gold had a big gap up yesterday, so the fact that it's basically where it was yesterday is no big worry. And silver is pretty close to where it was yesterday. If you were on show yesterday, I said if it gets up to this area, I would take a profit, 5% profit. And if it came back down around this area, if it filled the gap, I would buy back plus an extra 2%. And let's take a look, see if our copper miner has bottomed. Not quite yet. Southern Copper, so kind of trying to hold the 200-day moving average. And Freeport-McMoRan trying to hold at the 50-day. And Vale looks kind of the best of all of them. And let me see if we can find our Australian BHP group. Looks like it's coming up. Looks like it may have hit a double bottom. So I guess if it rises above this area, and Rio looks pretty good. Rio is paying a huge dividend. Let's see if I can find where the dividend is. This is on the weekly. Yield is 5.9%, which is pretty good. So let's look at our bond yields. Bond yields continue to drop. See if it drops to the 20-day moving average. This is on the weekly. Let's see it on the daily. Is pretty much where it left off yesterday. And our 20-year yield is down almost a full percent today. Our volatility or fear index is down 3.6%. S&P 500 is remaining above the gap, which is good, up 0.12. And take out the 7 heavyweights, and RSP equal weighted S&P 500 is doing well above the 200-day moving average. The NASDAQ remains the strongest index. It's getting close to a breakout, although the volume has retreated. So there's a good chance if the volume keeps retreating that it's going to fill this gap area. Let's see what the equal weight did. Equal weight, volume really backed off, but it's holding in there strong. The small cap stocks really sold off yesterday, but are really bouncing back today. The volume isn't quite as strong, but it's pretty close. And the Dow Jones holding strong there. The volume isn't that strong on a selling day, so that's not too bad. Financials. Look at that big move on the financials. That is a nice move. If I was interested in buying that, I'd wait for a little bit of a pullback. Look at oil. Oil is filling the gap as it gapped down yesterday. Energy is filling that gap for sure. Drillers trying to fill the gap, not quite. Communication services is pretty much where it was yesterday. Our top sectors remaining pretty strong, pretty level. Looks like pretty much a 4 days tight. There's the blue chip growth, which is pretty close to that one as well. Pretty strong. It's up slightly today. Utilities hanging in there. They're looking a lot better than they did. Real estate trusts, 4 days tight, which is good. Technology backed off a tiny bit, but it's had a huge move, so having a pause might be a good idea. Having a pullback might be a good place to put something on. And software, like I said, this is the strongest sector. Take a look at semiconductors. They're rising today, almost 0.5%. Our airlines are doing well. Let's see, Ryanair seems to be the strongest one. Broke out. Look at this move. Gap up, and another gap up. Is this an exhaustion gap? Doesn't seem to be. Ryanair is no frills airline out of Ireland. Serves a lot of Europe. Yeah, this is really strong. If you look at Delta, way down here. Southwest, way down below the moving averages. See, American, Airlines is AAL. Way down here, and United Airlines. So Ryanair is the strongest of all of these. Industrials doing better than the Dow Jones, pretty strong. We definitely got a double bottom here. This would be the breakout 104.02 when it gapped up. For those of you who are wondering, double bottom is a W pattern. When this shakes out a lot of your weak holders, takes out the previous low, and comes up above the middle of the W. Building materials, it's now above the 200-day moving average. Once again, we got a double bottom here. Pretty healthy now, cleared the middle. Mining and materials, it's above all the moving averages. Once again, it looks like we got a double bottom here, and it just cleared the double bottom. And the home builders, pretty strong. We looked at a couple of the home builders, and now let's look at the news. For today, U.S. Treasury capital flows report showed a net negative 67.4 billion in outflows in September's after foreigners bought 131 billion, was 134.48 in August. This was the first drop since the 165.98 billion plunge in May. Most of the weakness was registered in private holdings, which were down 62.1 billion. Eurozone consumer inflation in 20 countries using the euro decelerated 2.9% year on year in October from 4.3% in September after prices rose 0.1% month on month. Money market fund assets rose to an all-time high for a second straight week as interest rates north of 5% and volatility of fixed income markets drove investors to havens. Into sector news, Gap Stores Q3 EPS 59 cents versus 19 cents. And yes, that will get your attention. Look at that massive move and the highest volume since the base. What a move. Congratulations, Gap Stores up 31%. Beazer Homes, yes, the home builders area, Q4 EPS $1.80 versus estimate $1.39. I guess it wasn't what people were looking for. The home builders had an estimate, I believe it's 135 million sales, and they did 137 million. ChargePoint named Rick Wilmer as its new president and CEO effective November 16, 2023, and has joined the board of directors as CFO departs, targets positive adjusted EBITDA in Q4 2024, slashes Q3 revenue view to 108 to 113 million from 150 to 160. And people did not like that as the stock fell 35.5%. Copart, Q1 EPS 34.5 cents versus estimate of 33 cents on revenues of 1.02 billion versus 990 million. And it gapped up, closed on the low for the day. Ross Stores, Q3 EPS $1.33 versus $1.22. And yes, this was well received, up 7.22%. Not quite as well as the gap, but there you have it. Duckhorn portfolio, Napa, fell, said it entered into a definitive agreement to acquire Sonoma-Cutrer Vineyards, one of the largest luxury Chardonnay wineries in the U.S., from Brown-Forman Corp. for approximately $400 million. And Brown-Forman rises on that news 1.42. Nothing to get too excited about. Energy, industrials, and materials. Compass Materials Q4 adjusted EPS lost 6 cents versus estimate of a loss of 4 cents. And yes, it goes down 4% on that news. Huge volume on the selling side. ESCO Technologies Q4 adjusted EPS $1.25 versus $1.22 and rises slightly. It maintains that gap. Pretty good volume on that rise, up 1.26%. Haynes International Q4 adjusted EPS $1.02 versus estimate of $1.03. And even though it missed, it rises. So I guess maybe guides full year 24 continued volume and revenue growth, incremental improvement in gross margin, and positive operating cash flow. Woodward Q4 adjusted EPS $1.33 versus estimate of $1.31, and I guess maybe the guidance didn't really meet what people were looking at, as it falls 2%, gap down, and then tried to recover. Solar stocks could be in for a volatile day after California PUC votes 5-0 on policy change at meeting as they cut rooftop solar credits for rentals and schools. Watch for solar. Solar is actually hanging in there pretty good at its 50-day moving average. Solar Edge looks pretty ugly, although it did rise 3.23%. SunPower rose 5.5%. Enphase rose 2.42%, and Sunrun rose 4.29%. Okay, let's look at BITO. Bitcoin dropped 5% below 36,000 on Thursday after running into a wall near 18, actually rose a little bit today. 18-month high price of 38,000 on Wednesday. SEC delaying decision about spot BTC ETFs could leave the market without a catalyst until early January. And let's look at Ethereum. Continues to struggle under its 50-day moving average. Sold off harder, got near its 20-day moving average and bounced up. Got some late buying. Onto healthcare. Agilent downgraded to neutral from buy at UBS and cut target to 125 from 163. And that's all it sold off. That's not too bad. AstraZeneca True Gap in combination with Faslodex has been approved in the US for treatment of adult patients with hormone receptor positive, HER2 negative, locally advanced on metastatic breast cancer with one or more biomarker alterations, and it's gapping up 0.52%. Onto technology, media, and telecom. Applied Materials released its earnings Q4 adjusted EPS $2.12 versus $2. And people didn't like that, I guess. They were looking for a lot more. Gaps down, trying to struggle back on that gap. Guides Q1 sales 6.07 billion to 6.87 billion versus earlier higher guidance. So maybe the guidance is what really hurt. American Software Q2 adjusted EPS 8 cents versus estimate 9 cents. And people did not like that. That's down 9%. Dolby Labs Q4 adjusted EPS 65 cents versus estimate 53 cents. And once again, that was not liked at all. Huge volume, gap down 7%. Globant Q3 adjusted EPS $1.48 versus $1.17. And this was very well liked, up 11.85%, almost 12%. Motorola Solutions raised its quarterly dividend by 11%, boosted stock buyback by $2 billion, and it It's continuing to rise. Volume dropped off a little bit, but it's up 0.31%. And Roblox upgraded to peer perform from underperform at Wolf Research. Did nothing for the stock. So there you have it. There's our news and earnings for the day. Let's take a look at Globe E-Online. It had sold off quite a bit, but Kathy Woods of ARC FinTech Innovation bought 90,420 shares, and this ETF is working on the right side of its base. Had a nice gap up here, nice gap up here, and it's holding the gap. Let's see, we looked at charge point earlier. At core, gap further below its 50-day moving average. So we got a lot of losers here where people are moving their money out of. Highest volume since the base on a drop. That's not good. BJ Wholesale fell further below its 50-day moving average. Sales for the third quarter rose by 0.3%, but not what people were looking for. Children's Place fell 9% after third quarter results. Gap down, and it is continuing down. This isn't what you look for either. As we saw, Gap and Ross Stores were up. Abercrombie and Fitch in this area is doing well. Huge volume. Abercrombie and Fitch earnings are due on November 21st. So let's see where we can see what. So we looked at Ross, we looked at Global, Blackbaud, fundraising, finance management, software applications for nonprofit organization, double bottom, broke through the double bottom. We got massive volume coming in here. So professional money managers are scooping this up. We looked at Ryanair. Palo Alto Networks is bouncing from its big sell-off on earnings. NetEase, this is Chinese gambling community. After big drop yesterday on huge volume, it's gapping up today. Expedia Group in the travel. I guess people are liking this. Look at this gap up. Held the gap. This would be a good place to buy somewhere in here. And as it keeps continuing rising, right now it is way extended, too risky to buy right here. Vertex, which was down yesterday. Looks like we got a little dead cat bounce. Volume is less than the selling. So I would wait for more information to come in. Crane, payment transactions, Advanced Security Solutions, still under its 50-day moving average, bouncing off the 200. Pretty good volume. So IGV, this was a software area. Volume isn't so strong, but let's take a look. I really like this company. It's working on the right side of the base. Needs to get some volume going here. We can look at some of, and then Palantir, another leader in the software, looks a lot better. Well, we didn't have a double bottom. We have a cup pattern. We'll see if it develops a handle or if it just continues right here. We got a lot of professional money managers buying here, a lot of good volume. 2023, 312% up. And 2024, it's going to continue another 17% up. It's a recent IPO, came out in 2020, I'm sorry. And it's looking pretty good. ServiceNow. This has been a long-time leader, continually produces good revenue. Let's take a look at some of its competitors. Got Braze. Looking, yeah, we got a double bottom here. It's kind of missing the positive buying volume, but it is bouncing up. Maybe it'll come a little later. Manhattan Associates. It's looking pretty good here. Double bottom. Broke out of a double bottom here. Sound like a broken record, but these double bottoms really seem to work. Looks like Salesforce is working on a double bottom here. HubSpot needs to work on the right side here. It's kind of risky at this point. It just got above its 50-day moving average and kind of have look like a death cross, the 50-day going under the 200. Got AppFolio. Continually on the leaders list. See if it can break up here. Try to go once, twice, and 3 times. We'll just have to see if it can break through on the 3rd time. A lot of times these breakouts take 2-3 times. AppLovin. It's kind of volatile. The double bottom, and it looks like it's failed. Would wait to see if it can reset up again. AI. C3 AI, enterprise scale AI applications. It's got to work on the right side over here. Atlassian team has been a big winner in the past. It's kind of struggling. It's kind of struggled over here, tried to break out here and pull back, had to reset up. I'd wait for this to tighten up. Still still a little kind of wide and loose, and want to have a tight formation. And let's see, DoubleVerify. So this was kind of wide and loose over here. Looks like it's tightening up. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days of tightness in a row. We got some good blue volume over here. So this is starting to look pretty good. Take a look at Workday. Yeah, it's starting to tighten up over here. This is really good. This is a 1-week tight. Maybe if we could get a 2 or 3 week tight on this one. may start to look more appealing. And that's for now, kind of a look at some of our software, try to dig up some more software names, and we'll continue to look at this sector as it seems to be the strongest sector. And I think we did miss communications. This is where Google and Meta are doing, and it's hanging in there. So it looks like it's got 4 days tight right here. And so that's our report for today. Keep working on your goals and your activities out there. And some of the issues that we looked at yesterday kind of fell. Got a little bit of a pullback in Microsoft, which may be good. Maybe a good place to add if it bounces from its 10-day, or maybe just pretty far from its 20-day. There's a possibility it could pull back some more. Got some pretty huge volume selling here. And let's look at our 2 biotech stocks. This one sold off, tried to sell off a little bit yesterday, but got support. It's getting support again today. GLSI sold off and is right where it was yesterday. And ENN, kind of looking at that one, that had a big move up today. We'll see if that has a little bit of pullback. Kind of the leader in this area is CCJ, as it broke out pretty strong over here. 42.26 was a breakout area. So that's our report for today. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Kind of look at some news and may have a report over the weekend. We'll wait and see. But in the meantime, go out there and have some fun and recharge your batteries. If you have any financial questions, feel free to reach out to us. This has been Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only, brought to you by Toastmasters. Toastmasters, where you can learn to speak and learn to be a leader and have a supportive group to support you all the way. In the meantime, be well, and we'll catch you later.